And I think we're about up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hello, welcome to a live recording of Guide to the Unknown. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And we're going to be getting started in just a minute. We're going to be
Yeah.
doing some listener stories this time.
Yes, we have some good ones. We have some that have been stored waiting to pounce since September.
That's one of the things that I'm proudest of. And admittedly, it's something that you do. Mm-hmm. But like the keeping, the categorizing, the
Yes.
holding on to stuff until it's time.
Yes.
Like, that's what journalists do, you know? Like,
I am a journalist.
journalists sit on stories until they're ready, you know? I
don't like to waste a drop.
This is like ancient, but I remember, I think on like The Daily Show, correspondents would be working on a story for months before air.
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And that's kind of what it feels like whenever we get to finally do listener stories, is because like we want them to build up so that we've got something substantial to share.
Exactly.
So yeah. Welcome everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Welcome.
Welcome one and all. We're just going to do some posting to make sure that people know that the show is out there. And we'll get started. Hey, Andrea.
Hi,
I also
Andrea.
want to say that if you are watching this episode and you realize you've got a story that you'd like to share with us, feel free to send it to us at
I'll hang on to it.
GTTUpod, GTTUpod@gmail.com.
I prefer just gttupod@gmail.com. That helps me categorize and hold on to the stories.
Yes, help journalist Chrissy.
Otherwise, they're everywhere. They could get lost.
Makes sense.
So just email, please.
So yeah, do that.
Yeah.
And this is an odder one. It occurred to me, like, as we're here right now, we are video people in this moment. But and I know that a lot of people like this show on YouTube, but just so you know, Guide to the Unknown is also a traditional audio-only podcast.
Yes.
So people that are here, please also consider subscribing to Guide to the Unknown on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. We are on all of those different places. So
Yeah, we
check us out
absolutely
there.
are.
Yeah.
All right, William, I'm going to take a picture of us to share. Instead of say cheese, happily say your favorite color.
Okay. My favorite color is black.
Great.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
Can you tell with my duds?
Yes, I can.
Which reminds me, I want to give a very special birthday shout out to a little friend of ours, Charlie. Happy birthday, Charlie, out there in the world.
Happy birthday, Charlie. Yay, yay, yay.
Hope you're having a great day, and I hope that your dad has got some interesting puzzles for you to solve. Best of luck, young man.
Charlie is young man into mystery.
Yes, absolutely.
fun.
He's a mystery boy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, hey, JD. Hey, Caitlin. Hey, Rebecca, Drew,
Yes, go
Star
Sweater.
Wars, Sarah, Michelle. JD asks, how far physically apart are you two when you record these? Like, am I just out of camera?
We're probably, what, 6 to 8 feet?
Longer than 6 feet. If
Yeah.
I was dead laying on the floor between us, there would still be a
I bet
gap.
it's like 7 to 8.
Yeah, 7 or 8 feet apart.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Good, healthy social distancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caitlin says, yes, ghost sweater.
Yes, I realized I don't usually think about like my on-camera outfits too much. Sometimes I do just because I wear like schlubby clothes sometimes, and then on Wednesdays I'll be like, oh, I should change out of these. And I did think to myself, oh, I haven't worn my ghost sweater for the show in a long time. I'm going to whip that out. So thank you for noticing.
You're truly wearing it like a costume this time.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, or a uniform for my job.
Okay. I guess I have a uniform of a sort. I dress largely the same every day.
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Right. Also, we love you, Rebecca. Thank you. And yeah, sometimes we are in different houses, but most of the time, basically, if you see me on this set, then we are in the same place. But if you see one of us in a little box and Will at that desk, then I'm at my house and he's at his.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny.
Hey.
If
Induce for your podcast.
if somebody's in the window, that's how you can really tell. Like if Chrissy's in the window, she's probably not in my house. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did occur to me, I thought it might be fun to, we don't really have the need or the capability necessarily, but I thought it would be funny if we had a double of this set at your house.
I know.
So that no one could tell if we ever had to record it somewhere different.
I
you
know. And I'm working on making my office a little bit more setty, and I was thinking the same thing. But, I'll have a fun setup anyway.
Yeah. Cool, everybody.
Yeah.
Induced Fear Podcast is here. Hello and welcome.
Yeah.
They say finally made it to alive.
Yes.
Very happy to have you. Kristen, are you happy?
I already said I was happy.
Oh, well, I don't pay attention to what you say. So
This bodes well for a fine show.
you can understand my confusion.
The conundrum.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. Oh, and Nan says, yes, the useful measurement of if I were dead on the floor.
It's a standard. Honestly, I do use that measurement for stuff. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I know that I'm 5'6", 5'7". If I were to just fall prone, how much space would be left afterward?
Do you know Allie has like impeccable spatial awareness? She can look at like a piece of furniture and an alcove and say within, a margin of an inch or two whether or not it'll fit.
That's a beautiful skill.
This skill is damn near flawless. It is exceptionally rare that she is
awesome.
not correct.
That's excellent.
And I am always wrong.
Well,
Terrible
then,
spatial
good
reasoning.
thing that you have her there.
I know. And good thing I can do at least my if I were dead on the floor system.
Phew. Rebecca said, do you have any tips for new podcasters just starting out? I would say just go for it. It's the easiest time ever in history to start a podcast. I would say don't let things like equipment and stuff be barriers. Just start even on your phone to see if you like it, see how it feels, and then from there you can buy equipment and stuff. I would say keep it simpy at first.
I'm a total simp.
Yeah.
So I
I don't really know what that means.
I think it means like simpering.
I guess my first memory...
I think it's simultaneously misogynist and misandrist.
Okay. Like, I remember that I had a Sassy magazine, obviously a million years ago, that had a cover story on Reese Witherspoon, and it said, Reese is not a simp.
Oh.
And that had to be 20-something years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, and even then, I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Oh, I thought it was a modern term.
No.
Yeah, I think that like Jim on The Office, when Pam is still engaged and he's just like making eyes at her.
Yeah.
You could arguably call him a simp in that case, I think.
Really?
If I'm wrong, it's because I'm an old man.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think that is the case.
You might be right. I seriously have no idea. I know it's a derogatory term, but I don't really know what it means.
Thrilled that we can share this information with people who are catching us live for the first time.
Yes.
We're going to start the main show in just a second, and we're going to be sharing some stories sent in by listeners. For people that are watching us live for the first time, Kristen and I always run these live streams like a live recording. You're in our studio audience right now, so you're seeing some of the behind the scenes. So we're in the pre-show right now.
Yep.
Then we're going to do the main show proper. That is what's going to be going out on Apple Podcasts and all the podcast feeds on Friday. And then we might stick around for a little post show just to check in with everyone. During the show, Kristen and I are only really going to be talking to each other. But yeah, super happy that you're here. Please consider sharing this video to get it out there. Maybe friends of yours would like to join the stream and chat back. I love seeing good conversations happening in the chat.
I do too, and we're doing all listener stories tonight, so I feel like you'll have a lot of different topics to be talking about. So it's a fun one to share.
Yeah, it's always fun to like get like a smorgasbord of spooky stories from people.
Yeah.
Also,
And thank you, Tails.
This podcast is also, like I mentioned, on Apple Podcasts and stuff. So if you're primarily a YouTube person, make sure that you subscribe so that you can see future videos from us on this channel, or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think we've got all of our links in the notes down below. So feel free to click around and stay in the Guide to the Unknown ecosystem.
Yeah.
I want to get back to real quick, Rebecca. I think your advice on starting a podcast is exactly right. I think the only thing that I would add to it is, if you're just starting out, depending on your format in particular, if it's conversational like this show is, where Kristen and I we're brother and sister, we're like friends that just like talking about a topic. Make sure that it's something that you truly love, because there are going to be days where even the thing that you love doing will be work. Like, I think it's important to some extent to treat this like a job that you don't make money at. So make sure that it's something that you love so that it never feels like you're forcing yourself to sit down and do it. I think that that's hugely important.
Yeah.
It helps make sure that you're creating a show that you can get out there on the regular, because
You'll be self-motivated too because you enjoy it.
Exactly. And even on those days where it is work, at its core, you're still just going to be loving what you're doing, which is thankfully the case with Guide to the Unknown.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So definitely, I think that's my advice. Find a way to make it as fun for you as possible. Figure out your workflow to keep yourself happy.
Yeah.
Welcome, Spencer. And yeah, smorgasbord.
Yeah.
I think let's do it.
Let's hit it.
All right, everybody. We're about to start the main show. If you have to leave at any point, Friday. This is going to be out on all major podcast apps.
That's right.
Oh, can I just say this?
Yeah.
Megan is here. We missed you as well. And Megan says the pandemic has not been kind to the healthcare field. So, yeah, thank you so much for what you're doing, Megan.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how tired you must be. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing out there.
Yeah, sorry that you're going through it.
Yeah.
So hope we can give you a little hangout relief.
Exactly. Yeah. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the show.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are going to be telling more of your listener stories. We put out the call and you emailed them to gttupod@gmail.com, which you can still do if you haven't done it already. And now we have them here, and William and I are going to go back and forth telling each other and you these scary stories.
Yeah, I love doing this. We've done this quite a few times, actually. And it's always cool to see the stories continue to roll in. So, yeah, if you listen to this episode and you realize, oh, my God, I've got something that happened to me that we should tell, or, hey, there's a story that my grandparent always used to tell me, or I have a friend who experienced something, feel free to send those things into us.
Yes.
We love to see what people have experienced out there. And even though we may debate our personal beliefs in the spooky world of the paranormal, there's nothing more fun than getting lost in like a scary story.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if, like Will said, it's second, third, fourth, fifth hand, because I love the way these stories travel and change and what you heard versus what might have actually been true. And it's just all cool. So if you have some story in the back of your mind, by all means, email it to us.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I think I'm going to be starting us off. This first story comes to us from Anonymous, which I love the mystery inherent to the origin of a story that comes from Anonymous, right? All right, here we go. I consider myself a rational person, and I'm always inherently skeptical. I tend to have a low tolerance for conspiracy theories and tall tales. Even a lot of ghost hunting and other paranormal reality TV shows go a little too far for me. That being said, I remember a few strange things as a kid I might consider paranormal. As I got older, though, many of these supposed paranormal experiences would have a rational explanation. Sleep paralysis. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
No. Have you?
No. Thankfully not.
Don't want it.
I've experienced it as a kid and did not realize fully what it was until I was a teenager. However, I have a very strong memory of something happening during the day when I was around 6 or so. Something I still remember very vividly. One day after a mild storm, my twin brother and I noticed that light was shining down through the clouds, and we started to stare out the window. You know how the sun will break through clouds and it'll look really pretty? That's what we were looking at. It was captivating. My brother and I tried to notice people and faces in the light and clouds. Like when you see a face in a cloud. Yeah. I don't just mean we interpreted shapes from clouds. I mean we saw people. Oh, never mind. Faces fully formed and bodies fully clothed. There were a lot of them, and they changed every few seconds to reveal another person. Their style of dress varied, but I do really remember seeing a lot of people in old-timey clothing that at the time I would have described as pirate clothes, but now I recognize as clothing from the 1700s. I can't recall how long this went on, but after some time, the light and clouds shifted, and the people in the sky went away. The people in the sky.
That's awesome. This reminds me of Peter Pan.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
A little bit. Well, in Peter Pan, they're looking outside of clouds and they see a pirate ship coming coming through the clouds, and it turns out to be, I guess, Captain Hook's pirate ship. Or maybe, did Peter Pan have a pirate ship to take them to Never Never Land?
No, because they flew, right? Didn't they have?
Yeah,
they
did
had
fly.
Tinkerbell's fairy dust.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, they did fly. So I guess they saw Captain Hook's pirate ship.
Yeah.
Up in the clouds. I've been thinking about Peter Pan lately. I don't know why. Some line from the movie got stuck in my head. I was thinking about how, in I think almost every version of it, when he first meets Wendy, he asks for her name, and she says, "My name is Wendy Moira Angela Darling." And he goes, "Wendy's enough."
He says that?
Yeah.
You're wasting my time.
Wendy's enough.
Wendy's enough.
Peter Pan is an ass.
Thanks a lot.
Grow up.
Whatever. He doesn't want to grow up.
Truly grow up.
He refuses.
But anyway, that reminds me of Peter Pan, the clouds.
Isn't the way you get to Neverland, they go second star from the right and straight on till morning?
I think it's, yeah, something like that. First star to the right and straight on to morning. Yeah.
To the right from what? Just to the, what? What does that mean?
Of your vision?
Just wherever you're looking?
I guess. No, I don't know.
I bet there's an answer to this, but if we could just speculate and go like,
Yeah.
what a chump.
How ridiculous.
I'm still open to a rational explanation. It could really have been just us kids seeing shapes in the clouds, and my memory of it is warped. My brother and I haven't spoken about this in a very long time, and I don't know what his current thoughts about it are, or if he even remembers it. But it's still a strong memory that freaks me out, and contrasts to many of the freaky things I remember that were rationally explained by my sleep paralysis. I have a second story as well. Again, this was with my twin brother. But while we were teens, my brother very much remembers this event. At this time, we lived in a mobile home park out where all the fields and farms are. It's real spooky at night. Lots of creepy, empty fields. We took the dogs out for a walk when we noticed a star in the sky that was really bright. It was still for a while, but we took note of it. Then it began to move. Okay, we thought it's a plane. Then it changed color. It became orange, then red, then starlight blue. Then it just disappeared. At that point, we were confused. We were saying to ourselves, are we really seeing this? It was moving rather slowly, not rapidly, but by the end of it, it had moved in a small circle and was almost back in its original position when it disappeared. And when it disappeared, it wasn't sudden. It faded away, just like it faded into colors. It's worth mentioning that we live near a small airport. That's pretty common for UFO encounters and is potentially an explanation. We could have just seen a plane or something, but we were also really familiar with seeing planes in the sky. Planes have red and blue lights, but what we saw was entirely blue, then orange, then red, then back to blue. We didn't see multiple lights. It was one solid color that looked a lot like a star. Again, I'm open to a rational explanation, but we could not identify this unidentified flying object. Cool. Both things in the sky.
I know. Man, Anonymous and his brother are really taking to the skies.
I know. One during the day, one during the night.
Mm-hmm. And I think that they had moved.
Right.
So in separate places. I wonder if they're super observant.
Maybe.
Number one, maybe they really are looking up a lot and noticing these things. It's just an interest that's inherent that you don't even think about or something.
Right.
Or maybe stuff has happened.
I really do believe, by the way, especially now that I've got like a daughter on the way, I really do believe in the idea that as we all grow up and get older, we just sort of lose touch with that
like wonder.
sort of imagination and wonder.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have used the word wonder. It makes
Clearly
me think that I should be standing outside looking up in the sky like, wow.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. But like I remember being a kid and just like staring at dirt and looking at bugs for like, I don't know, 20 minutes at a clip.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I remember
like,
there were...
just bored. And it was great. I kind of miss it.
Yes. I can't remember what they were, but they were these like teeny weeny little bright red bugs outside of our house in Connecticut.
Oh,
and
yes.
I would just stare at them doing their thing.
Yeah, like teeny.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it's the sort of thing that an event like this, I don't stare up in the sky. You know? I don't stare up at the stars. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't catch
you
this.
You wouldn't notice.
Maybe there are UFOs that are changing color right above my head constantly. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting older and I'm not paying attention to things.
Right.
You know, I'm shuffling on to the next task.
Right.
It's interesting.
So maybe
Very
these
interesting.
kids, were looking up a lot and they happen to see things.
Totally.
Which is very cool. All right, so now I'm going to tell us a story, and this is from Finn. When I was about 12, my family took a day trip to Werribee Mansion. The 60-room building and grounds were built in 1877 for the Chirnside family, who emigrated from Scotland to make heaps of money producing wool. It was converted into a seminary in the 1920s, and as such, it's had additional wings constructed since. On this hot summer afternoon, I wandered off down the halls, half-heartedly reading plaques along the way, until I found myself alone at the end of one of the wings where a display of creepily angular mannequins was set up to illustrate the daily life of the priests who lived there, including a man in full garb sitting at an old typewriter. I was bored and 12, so I said aloud, "That's a weird-looking mannequin," which I love the idea of. The mannequin immediately cracked its neck to look at me without eyes and snapped its jaw to speak to me with no mouth. I watched the typewriter click twice without being touched. 15 seconds later, I crashed into my uncle coming around the corner at the other end of the wing. "Dude, are you okay?" He looked at me alarmed as I caught my breath. I wanted to fill him in, but it seemed inexplicable. Later that night, I put off sleep and did some Google sleuthing on Werribee Mansion. As it turns out, it has a tragic history that gives it a reputation for the paranormal. Thomas Chirnside was in love with Mary Begbie, his cousin, but don't think too hard about it. But her parents would disapprove of the marriage. After moving to Werribee, Thomas sent his brother Andrew back to Scotland to marry Mary in his stead and to move in with them in Thomas's mansion. But Thomas became depressed, and in 1887 he was tragically found dead in the laundry with a shotgun beside him. 3 years later, his brother Andrew died too. Finally, in 1908, Mary Chirnside died from burns caused by a fire from her bedside candle. Could it be their ghosts I saw? I've heard that spirits often get lost in new additions to a building, unfamiliar with their surroundings. This wing had been added for the seminary after their deaths. I wondered what letters on the typewriter might mean, but it seemed like gibberish. Unless I looked up the standard typewriter layout, finding something different to our current QWERTY keyboard, and it means that the keys I saw clicked were actually MC. Mary Chirnside. Could the priest mannequin be trying to point me to the tragic Chirnside family story? Perhaps. It is likely I was just delirious from a hot summer day. An argument could be made. But I have to believe this story was demanding to be told. By sharing it with you, I hope it can be.
Oh, it has been. Yeah.
It has been indeed, and now I'm interested in the Werribee Mansion.
I know. Curious about the Werribee Mansion.
Wonder what the story is there.
I also
Besides the story that Finn told us.
Of course, right?
Naturally. I guess I kind of know the story, but...
I wonder what the deal is. I wonder if anything happened to Finn there. If only they could have told us.
Right.
First of all, it gives me a sense of deja vu, this story.
Okay.
Second of all, I love the idea of ghosts being lost because their building has been renovated. And they're like, this isn't my house.
Yes, I like that idea too. A new wing being there and them being like, what the?
Yeah. And also the notion of a mannequin being possessed by a ghost, perhaps because the ghost is like, well, this is a human-shaped thing, and then maybe even struggling to turn the neck so that it cracks the mannequin.
I mean, that's what they say about the idea of haunted dolls and stuff like that they just kind of take advantage because it's sort of a familiar form that they know how to manipulate.
Huh.
And they can move around.
Is that why?
I mean, maybe
so,
there are
it
varying
has
reasons.
2 arms, 2 legs.
Yeah.
And a face?
Yeah, it's personified. If you're trying to communicate with people and you're a ghost, I would probably want to jump into something that's personified.
Right, yeah.
So I know how to move it and manipulate it the right way.
Humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been to anywhere that has mannequins set up like that? Because I love that kind of museum or display or whatever.
I'll tell you what, it's very much not the same thing, but the one that springs to mind is Epcot.
Okay, I mean, kind of similar, I think.
Yeah, Epcot, for people that don't know or haven't been at Disney, that big iconic ball, it looks like a golf ball. That's a ride. Mm-hmm. And so when you go up, you're sitting on this in this little chair that moves like, a mile an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly my kind of ride.
I would say perfectly my speed.
And it pitches you so that you're going up and rotating around inside that giant ball, but you're also progressing through like all
Like
of
scenes.
Yeah, all of recorded time. So you
Yeah.
see like, ancient Rome, and they're writing in scrolls, and then you will eventually see Steve Jobs working in his garage to make
Right.
Apple. Like it's the full breadth. But seeing mannequins that sort of aren't moving, like I think the Steve Jobs one doesn't move, and I've heard that maybe they retired the movement of the mannequin once he died, so that
Okay.
he just sort of slumped over.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that too.
Yeah, it could turn out to not be true.
Right.
But the notion that there are just like human shaped things in there 100% of the time,
Yes.
even at night, they shut it down. And if you happen to walk in, it would just be pitch black in there, but there are human shaped things in there.
Right.
I sort of got that vibe even just on the ride. So
Yeah.
sort of, yes, I have been.
Yeah, I think that fits into that category for sure.
Yeah.
What it made me think of is the old Charleston jail, where they have, it sounds to me pretty much exactly the sort of thing that Finn is talking about, where they're just like still dioramas almost of like Blackbeard the pirate, because he kind of came up in Charleston and I think broke through the back wall of the jail, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
I don't remember exactly, but I think Blackbeard is in there, and there are also prisoners with shackles who were like, that are just still in the jail all the time, just pure unmoving mannequins.
Right.
And I love it.
Yeah, I love that sort of thing. I have also been to, Allie and I went to a catacomb. Where were we? I don't remember where we were. But it was truly like, you're seeing a coffin
Right.
that's just out in the open, and there is a body in there from 300 years ago, that sort of thing. And it's a very eerie feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, this next story comes to us from KM, Katie. Here we go. Hey, you guys. My name's Katie. I've had a number of strange things happen to me in my life, so have my mom and brother, like it runs in the family. But I think this one is the creepiest, especially since my mom was there for the whole thing, so I can't even dismiss it as a nightmare. Oh, to have something horrible happen to you and have it corroborated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was around 22 years old and staying with my mom over the winter to help her out. One night we went into our room. Our beds were on opposite sides with about 10 feet of space between them. I put the cat outside the door so he wouldn't wake us up, as he had a bad habit of doing that, shut off the light, and got into bed. About 5 minutes later, something pranced across my feet. Pranced. Mm-hmm. I froze, then scrambled for my phone. I heard something skittering on the wall, and then my mom was saying, "Katie, get the cat out of here, I'm trying to sleep." I told her the cat wasn't in the room, and she said he surely was. He was just walking up the side of her bed and then going up the wall. She threw the light on, and we saw nothing. I scrambled out of bed to the door and opened it, stuck my head out, and there at the landing was the cat, rolling on his scratch pad. A lot of strange things happened around the family. A pastor, who my mom nannied for, who we shared the house with that winter as well. Feet running up the hall when there's no one else home. Giggling from upstairs when everyone was downstairs. Strange, eerie feelings sending the hair on the back of your neck up. A strange reluctance to be on the stairs at night. Scratchings on the walls. I've never visited that family's home again.
I can understand why not.
Yeah.
That's a lot of activity.
There's a lot going on there.
That's a lot to have going on, and I want you to know that I am with you, Katie, as a fellow cat ghost experiencer.
Oh, that's right.
Famously, I was staying at a family member's house, famously.
I know, I was going to say,
and
what does it take for something to be described as famously?
Infamously,
Yeah.
one night, I woke up in the morning, and I felt something on the bed next to me, and I thought, oh, yeah, that's Chloe, who's my cat, walking by. And then I opened my eyes and fully woke up, and I was like, oh, that's right, I'm not at home. Chloe's not here. So who is phone?
Yeah.
And then I went out the door, told our family members about it, and they were like, well, this did used to be a veterinarian's office.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Hey-o.
Yeah, I forgot about that famous story.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever had that happen. One of the things that it immediately makes me think of, though, is that odd sensation where you're like, oh, my phone's buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to check your pocket and it's not there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Almost the not to make light of anything, but almost that phantom limb
Yeah.
type of experience where I feel something, but I couldn't possibly be feeling it.
Because it didn't happen. Right.
Except if that feeling continues, even after you check it, and then you hear it going up the wall.
Yeah.
it might make you start to think that something else is afoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just little cat foot.
Yeah, prancing across your feet.
I know, so gentle.
I know.
I guess that's better than a big thud
Oh, sure.
or something, but it's still, I don't know, almost like tickly.
I know.
You know, that's scary.
It's also interesting, cats in general. So let's imagine that this is a ghost. Let's say it's a cat ghost.
Right.
It can go up the wall. Cats are known to be able to climb.
They're quite agile.
Right? So maybe the ghostly powers of a cat in the afterlife,
Yeah.
they don't have anything inhibiting them.
Right.
Gravity doesn't hold them back anymore. So they can prance across your bed and then just
Yeah.
casually saunter and just start going up the wall.
Right.
Like nothing. That's almost like a dream come true. They can truly go wherever they'd like.
This place could be crawling with cats right now all over the walls that we're not aware of.
It could be, except we've checked this house extensively, and I think that this is a safe haven.
Were you, I can't remember, did the people who live here before you live here the whole time before you moved in, or were there previous owners?
The previous owners, this house is actually, as of this year, it is now going to be 101 years old.
Oh, happy birthday, baby.
This house was built in 1920, and I think Allie and I are something like the third or fourth owners.
So there could have been previous owners who had a cat.
There could be,
Yeah.
but we've done all of the, I guess, diedinhouse.com doesn't
think they-
account for pets.
I don't think so.
But we've also, you and I have used ghost hunting equipment in this house. We could do more checking.
That doesn't mean it doesn't mean that the cats are always here. Maybe they're going into the other realm and then coming back.
That's a great point.
So
It
we
also
might have
makes me wonder if there are particular ghost hunting operations for finding pets.
I bet there are.
Right?
I bet, you know how there are trigger objects for, unfortunately, children ghosts, like the Boo Buddy?
Yes.
Maybe there are trigger objects for animal ghosts, like a treat.
Yeah. Well, Molly
A
ate
treat
them all.
that
Molly and Crumbs and Buffy are gobbling down all of the trigger objects.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, maybe there's like a dog toy trigger object or something that's like the Boo Buddy Jr.
Maybe. Yeah.
Interesting. Something to think about.
Look who's Boo Buddy now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay, this story comes from Danny. My story begins in the mid-90s when I was 3, after the death of my great-grandmother. I was very close to my great-grandma Gertrude, though she absolutely hated her name and was known to us as Granny Gert. I love that edit. I think it's a great edit.
Yeah, me too.
She lived across the street from my grandma, whom we visited most weekends. As I was escorted to her front door, I would turn and send my adult servants away to have jam toast and tea time to myself, thank you.
Oh, I love this. I've got a whole image
I know.
here.
Danny's painting a picture.
Yeah.
She eventually suffered a stroke and passed away from it. I was too young to understand death at the time, making the following events unexplainable to me. The first event happened after Columbine, my mother feeling the same quiet worry parents around the nation suffered as I was slated to start kindergarten. Without saying a word to me about her concerns as she mulled over them, I turned to her and said, "Don't worry, Granny Gert said she would watch over me." It floored my mom at the time, though I don't remember the event myself. Love that.
Yeah, I love that
Can
too.
you imagine that as a parent? Like if you were worrying about something in the moment, like packing your daughter's backpack, and then she's like, "Don't worry, Grandpa said it's going to be fine."
That's gonna. I will, if it happens, I will simultaneously love it.
Yes.
And probably struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, what are you, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo.
I do believe that you're open to stuff that I might be closed off to now, so okay.
Right. All right. Well, let's roll with it.
All right, have fun with Grandpa.
Yeah. The second event happened in my teens, though it was ostensibly the first one. I've always had a very distinct memory of my grandma taking my older brother and me to visit her in the local hospital. I think she means visit her great grandma.
Okay.
I clearly recall turning right around a corner and her door was the first one. She had her arms outstretched, happily beckoning us to join her in bed. I ran up and climbed to the left side of her hospital bed as my brother mounted the other side. I stopped suddenly upon observing her IVS and oxygen tube and proceeded carefully over them, knowing not to tug on them. I remember getting in the bed, her embrace, though not any exit from the room. I was around 16 when I casually brought up talking about Granny Gert to my mom one day. She looked at me with a furrowed brow and said, "You never visited her in the hospital. She was over 300 miles away and she wasn't conscious for long after being hospitalized." Stunned, I learned a memory I had always assumed was a part of everyone's reality wasn't true. I explained later to my grandmother the layout of the room, and she sadly smiled, confirming that that's how it was when she was with her. If it was just some kind of dream, the only thing I don't understand is how I knew to avoid her medical tubing in a toddler's dream. I'd never visited anyone in the hospital at that age. The only thing I chalk it up to is the openness of the young to the other side.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The idea of that's corroboration as well, right? To be able to say, like, here's what I remember or what I think I remember.
Yeah, of the way the room looked, and to have her grandmother say, yeah, that's how it
That's
looked.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
It definitely is. The second story takes place in my friend Dylan's home on an isolated reservation in Montana, where we grew up. He is native, I am not. His mother was going through a difficult time in her life, and she confided in a friend that she practiced the traditional she confided in a friend that practiced the traditional ways. He offered to send spirits to watch over their home. To be specific, the quote, little people by the river.
Oh.
They are local humanoid spirits said to dwell by the river running near his house. They're the proportion of an adult on the scale of a toddler. So, yeah, just...
It makes me think of Iceland and, like, believing in elves and stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, how they're elemental, they're somewhat tied to nature. Little people by the river.
Right, exactly.
Couple that, by the way, with people in the sky. I love just seeing people all over the place. People of the river, people of the sky.
Left and right.
Hear me.
Yeah.
Protect me. People of all realms.
Maybe that's why they're in this realm.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
they're happy to do it. They're here to protect.
What else am I doing?
Right. I'm here anyway. May as well.
I guess I'll protect you.
All right.
Don't have anything that I feel like doing by the river.
Mm-hmm. But there's all kinds of cool stuff to do by the river. Look at it.
Yeah.
View it rushing.
Yeah. Lie down in it.
Witness it go by.
Yeah. Witness splendor and such.
Yes, of course. But she declined his suggestion and went on with her life, though Dylan knew nothing of the offer made. He woke up one evening in the living room after his family had fallen asleep watching TV. It was immediately after sunset when everything is bathed in a cool blue light that makes details stand out in sharp relief. He awoke to see a silhouetted figure standing in the hallway across from him, staring. Immediately in a sleepy state, he thought it was his younger brother who was a toddler at the time. He quickly realized that his brother was in the same place that he was before, and when he looked back, the figure was gone. He told his mother about what he saw, and she knew what had happened, contacting her friend who admitted to sending the spirits without her knowledge. She asked her local LDS missionaries to bless their home, and they haven't seen any small figure since. As for myself, as a listener of paranormal podcasts, it's unsettling to find something I thought to be a local legend that's widespread throughout different nations under different names, such as the Pukwudgie or water babies.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite notions as well. The idea that a lot of these, mythical creatures, figures, spirits, whatever, pop up all over the globe under different names.
Right.
The admission over the phone, I did send.
I know you said not to, but I actually did anyway.
And your son saw one.
Right.
Oh,
my
God.
bad.
Yeah. Hey, did you by any chance send people of the water, little people by the river to my house? Dylan saw one.
So
I did send the little people by the river.
That was me.
That's spooky. Also, the idea that they're supposed to help you and then you have somebody come to like banish them.
Yes.
I think that's vaguely, that's like almost like fodder for comedy, right? That like your house is possessed but by good spirits, and so you have them exorcised. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, just hang with it. And so it was by the Mormon Church who exorcised them. It's
right.
LDS's Latter-day Saints.
Right.
So I wonder what their ideas about possessions, or I wouldn't call that a possession, but like hauntings and things you want cleared out are, right. Because we always there's a heavy emphasis on the Catholic and Christian perspective on that stuff, and like the power of Christ compels you, all of that. I wonder how the Mormon Church differs and what they think about all that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they obviously came and did some sort of blessing.
They wanted to get rid of the little people by the river.
Right, so they weren't into it. But yeah, it's just interesting. I wonder how different religions see those things and how they deal with them.
Yeah, true.
It's
back
just a
to
simple
the river,
blessing.
Go we.
Yes, maybe that's all it was.
Maybe.
Yes.
All right, our next story comes to us by way of Chris.
That's right. But before we listen to Chris's story,
we'd
like to tell you a little bit about ourselves here at Guide to the Unknown. So this is a show that is in both podcast and video format on youtube.com/talkbomb. So if you're at one or the other right now, by all means, check out the other one if you want kind of a different experience.
Yeah, on the video version of the show, Kristen and I record this show live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. There's a little pre-show where we chat with people, a little post-show. You get stuff that you don't quite get if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. But hey, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you get to take the show with you anywhere. You can listen to it while you're driving around. So they each have their own sort of flavor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, make sure that you subscribe to youtube.com/talkbomb so that you can keep up to date with all of our videos as they come out, and subscribe to Guide to the Unknown on all your favorite, audio podcast feeds so that you never miss an episode there.
That's right. And also, if you aren't part of our Patreon, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you are missing. So if you go to patreon.com/GTTU pod and you sign up at the $4 or more per month level, you first of all support the show and help keep it going, which is huge. And thank you so much to all of our existing patrons for doing that. But also, as a thank you, we have a whole separate secret podcast over there called the Netherworld Dispatch. So you get a link that you can plug into your podcast app, and it pops up just like all of your other podcasts, but you only get it if you're a member over at patreon.com/GTTU pod.
And actually, as of the day that we're recording this, a new episode has dropped. So this week, there's a new episode of the Netherworld Dispatch where Kristen and I look at parodies of the Blair Witch Project.
That's right.
Obviously, the Blair Witch Project is very near and dear to our hearts. I'm one of the writers for the Hunt a Killer box series. Kristen's done a lot of writing about the Blair Witch for huntakiller.com/blog, let alone the episodes of the show that we've done on this very feed. But now on the Netherworld Dispatch, we've taken a look at the ways that people have tried to poke fun at, satirize, mimic the Blair Witch Project. So we ended up watching the Scooby-Doo Project, which was a fun crossover.
Yep.
Dawson's Creek did a very loving sort of tribute that both Kristen and I found very surprisingly emotional.
Yes, we really reacted to it.
I found it weird. It was
weird.
Even in editing it, I was like, why did I have that
I'm
reaction?
surprised that you did. I'm not surprised that I did.
I think
it's just the kind of dialogue I think brought it out in you.
I think I've seen Scream so many times that I'm somewhat immune to it, but hearing new things written in that style, it was like overwhelming. That overly verbose quality.
The writer of Scream wrote Dawson's Creek as well.
Exactly. So I think it may have been that, because it's a moment where Dawson is like, come on, I found the Blair Witch Project to be, what did he say?
I don't remember, but it's some really wordy line for like a 16-year-old, and it's awesome.
He's like, I found it to be world-changing. Hollywood laid to waste by two guys
William,
with a
that's exactly
camcorder.
what it was. Oh my God. Hollywood laid to waste.
It's like no one would really speak this way, but in this world they do. And I haven't been to that world in so long. It was nostalgia without me ever having really watched Dawson's Creek before.
Right. It felt great. And so you can either watch that episode on patreon.com/GTTUpod and you'll be able to see the things on screen as we're reacting to them.
Yep.
Or we describe them well enough that it works as a podcast as well. So
totally. Yeah, it's literally out right this second. So go check that out.
Yep. And you can find everything that we do, Patreon, our merch, our Facebook group, all of that stuff at gttupod.com.
Yeah. All right, so our next story comes to us from Chris, who says, I'll start by saying that I, too, am a skeptical believer. I think that this is, if you've experienced something, I think that most people probably have this. I think that probably, it's just me talking, but I think that if you could look at a true Venn diagram of people who have experienced something paranormal, I wonder if most people would say that they are not typically a believer of the paranormal, and yet they experience this. Rather than, I believe in a bunch of stuff, and I've experienced a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that saying that you're skeptical is like trying to add this level of veracity to your story.
Yeah.
Like, I don't just believe every single thing.
Exactly.
Which I completely understand.
Which I think makes total sense. It's a little like, it's almost like meant to be like a credibility check or something like that.
Yep.
So anyway, from Chris, I'll start by saying that I, too, am a skeptical believer. I can't prove that what happened was a ghost, a devil, or some mischievous fey creature, but I also can't prove that it wasn't. All I can say is that this happened on 3 separate occasions, and that I had independent validation that someone else experienced the same thing. For me, that's proof enough that there are, and that these were part of phenomena yet unexplainable by humans. Unexplainable. My first experience was with my friend. He and I were at my house with no one else around. We had decided that it was time to get outside and find something to entertain us, so we went to go put on our shoes. As I was bent down tying my laces, I heard distinctly the sound of a little girl laughing. Thankfully, it was a playful giggle that seemed to say, "Look at the silly boys." Still, when something like that happens not 3 feet away from your head, it's chilling. I kept calm and finished tying my shoes. Both of us walked out of my front door, not saying anything, but finally it was too much not to. I turned to him and asked, "Hey, did you hear?" Before I could even finish the question, he blurted, "A little girl laugh?" I just looked straight ahead and said, "Yeah, a little girl." In some ways, it was nothing unusual, having pretended that we were Ghostbusters for years, though I never thought that I would have ever had a real encounter of my own. We carried on with our day and never had another instance like that happen again. That, Kristen, is similar in concept to the one thing that I think I ever experienced.
Yeah.
Where I felt like I heard someone breathing right beside my head. Not a giggle.
Right.
Maybe mine was a less powerful entity. Maybe it takes a lot of energy to put together enough force to do a giggle.
Yeah. Right.
But the idea of just a disembodied voice that's near you.
Yeah.
It's near you.
Yes. And Ryan, my husband, experienced something like that once too. He was downstairs, like in the basement of his restaurant. And I can't remember what he said that he thought it said. But he texted me and he was like, "I just feel like I heard something like close to me say," I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, there's a vulnerable feeling to the notion that I can't see anything, and yet I do feel like I heard something.
Yeah.
Like I personally don't know if I would chalk this up to, I had a paranormal experience. It's well-worn territory that I think that way. But like, it still is something that like in the moment was very visceral, where I like jumped and ran.
Right.
I was that shocked.
Yeah. You ran?
Yeah, I ran inside.
Okay.
I had just gotten, what do you think? I mean, like down the block, just away into the night, into the woods with my arms flailing like Kermit the Frog.
I guess I've always pictured that the door wasn't open yet.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, to say you ran without saying I opened the door and I ran in.
I ran.
It made me think you just like ran left to right. Just kept booking.
Where's Will? Has anyone seen Will in a while? I just saw him running off into the night screaming.
He ran.
No, he's gone.
He ran.
We've got a runner. All right. Next encounter from Chris. My second brush with the unexplained is just over a decade later. I was in the living room playing a video game, and my wife was taking a shower. Suddenly, there were 3 knocks near the bathroom door. Keep in mind, there were 3. May have a bearing on the third experience that Chris will be sharing. Just as I was fixing to get up to see what my wife needed, she opened the door and stuck her head out, asking, "Hey, what do you need?" I looked at her, mouth hanging open, to say, "Oh, I was just checking to see what you need." "You didn't knock?" she asked. "No, I thought it was you," I replied. Well, we were both a little shaken. My wife had some previous encounters with this presence. It seemed to be checking up on how we were sleeping by peeping through a door.
Ugh.
That's a parenthetical.
I'm about to say.
That parenthetical is a full story right there, right?
That's a big meatball to leave hanging out there.
If some creepy peepy demon is peering at you through a cracked door.
Absolutely.
That deserves more than a parenthetical, Chris. Hit us up.
Not in Chris's life, apparently. He has 3
I know,
stories,
it's so
first of
commonplace.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is no biggie.
There's a wonderful creepypasta that I don't know the name of.
Yeah.
But the point was that you are perpetually haunted by a ghost that always just takes a look at you at the last possible second. So you're getting in an elevator. The elevator doors are closing. There's no one there. There's no one there. There's no one there. The doors are about to close, and a face appears. Just trying to get one quick look at you at the last possible second. It appears every time you close a door, every time you open a drawer in a nightstand. It'll fit into the smallest possible crevice. Anytime something closes or opens, it looks at you for just a moment.
Oh, like Josie Packard in the knob of that nightstand in Twin Peaks.
Absolutely. It's very odd. I don't know where that. I got to find that story now. Anyway, that's what that made me think of. Back to Chris. This is also the same area where our pets, a dog and 3 cats at the time, would stop and stare, sometimes hissing or barking. Thankfully, nothing else ever really happened and never anything malicious. However, there were just too many markers that something was there for me to dismiss it.
You know what happened today? This is very weird. And I know I talk about toilet stuff all the time, but I know, but this is just the truth.
Again with the toilets.
It's just the truth. Buffy, my puppy, went into the bathroom and was just sitting staring at the toilet.
Dreaming. An aspiration that she'll never achieve.
It was weird.
Right?
She's never done that before. It was strange. Kind of at the toilet and to the left.
It's a dog's Mount Olympus.
Or
they stare at that mysterious bowl and wonder how.
Or was there a toilet ghost?
Someday, she thinks. Yeah, you might have a ghoulie.
I know.
You know the cover of Ghoulies?
Yes.
It's a little monster popping out of a toilet.
Yes, I do. We talked about that on the Toilet Monsters episode of Guides to the Unknown.
Of course, yes.
So you can go back and find that.
I've completely forgot. Mm-hmm. Shock. There is a full episode of Guide to the Unknown dedicated to toilet monsters.
That's right. It was early in quarantine and we wanted to have a light, fun topic for the people. They loved it.
Yeah, did it fix anything?
No.
All right, this is Chris's third and final to date brush with the unknown, and it happened in the same house as those knocks, as the 3 knocks, which even 3 things coming in 3s we've talked about before. My wife and I had finally sold the house, and we were doing the last run through to make sure we hadn't left anything behind. While standing in the kitchen, both of us caught the smell of rancid meat. It had been a while since we were in the house, so we both smelled around for a source, thinking it could have been old grease or an unfortunate critter in the wall. We couldn't find the smell. Just those few fleeting seconds, nothing else. I went cold. From all the sources I know of, 3 wraps and the smell of rotting meat are demonic indicators. However, neither my wife nor I ever felt threatened in the house. The wife of the man we bought the house from was said to have passed away while living there. I'm thinking she may have been sad or angry that we were leaving. I don't suppose I'll ever know. So there you have it. While I've never seen anything paranormal, I've had quite a few shared experiences. I've had other encounters, but these 3 examples are the times when someone else was there and experienced them too. While this isn't proof of paranormal entities, it's proof enough for me to believe that these things, whatever they are, can and do happen.
That's interesting, too, that he decided to only include stories where somebody else was there who can corroborate. So it's again, an impulse I completely understand to start this off by saying, I'm a believer, but I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't just believe every single scary thing that comes across my path as a ghost, and also to only include things where he can say, somebody else can back me up on this.
Yes, I think that's
kind of like double credibility.
It's like a filter. It's like running a filter in Excel or something. Filter to just only the paranormal experiences that somebody else was there for.
Yeah.
And we'll also say, yeah, I heard it too.
Right.
I think that's very interesting. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed those stories. Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, I did too. And by all means, send it, if you feel like it, send in the stories where it's just you too, because
totally. I want to know
it.
about that creeping, peeping ghost.
Yes. A little more info on the parenthetical if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this next one is from Lexi. This first experience happened to me when I was 17. I'll be 21 in February, so this was 4 years ago, William. To do the math for you.
Incredible math work.
Thank you.
Also, happy upcoming birthday.
That's right. Happy upcoming birthday, Lexi. Maybe Lexi and the baby will have the same birthday.
Maybe.
Who knows? And I'm still unsure what to make of it. My mom and I were spending the day together. We live in Virginia, and decided to head to Grandin Village, which is a cozy little, village that's close to 100 years old. I'm a bookworm, and there happens to be a bookstore in Grandin called Too Many Books, and I'd wanted to go in there for the longest time. Love a small local bookstore.
Do you think that that's like a play on like Too Many Cooks, or is it really them being like,
oh my God,
too many books? I wish we had less in here. We've got to sell some of these off.
If it's a play on Too Many Cooks.
What? Not cute?
It's just so, I don't know, to be tied to a viral video.
It's what?
Oh my God.
Oh
my God. I know. Okay. I know. I heard it. I know. I forgot that too many cooks is a phrase all on its own.
Why are you so weird?
I don't know. What other weird thing did I do?
Toilets and stuff.
Oh, well, get used to it, pal.
Your first frame of reference for
I don't know.
was Adult Swim. Right? Like
You know why? Actually, I think it's because you're weird. You're weird. I'm volleying this right back to you. Because you and I were talking about how it's weird that people are still framing things 2 girls, 1 cup. Like last week. And so I think I that was floating around influencing my perspective of the phrase too many cooks.
Okay, understood. Yeah, I for context, I just want to put it out there. I saw a podcast the other day. It was like a list of like top podcasts. No shade, but it was a list of top podcasts, and like 3 of them on the list were like 2 guys, 1 boat. Two kids, 1 house. Like they were all, and it's just like, wow. And so I Googled 2 girls, 1 cup. It came out in like 2007, everyone.
And also,
it's time to move on.
It obviously was a lot of places.
2 snacks, 1 shack.
Ooh, I could get down with that.
Yeah.
If I get to live in the shack.
I want to break into that shack.
Yeah. No, it's also weird because it's not something that I'm sure everybody watched.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was it was certainly huge. It took the world by storm, but like only a portion of the world, like teen and up portion probably. So it's so weird. No. The legs that it has, the 4 legs.
That's correct.
Of the 2 girls.
I know. It really exploded though. So anyway, this shop is called Too Many Books.
Yeah.
Which I think is a play off Too Many Cooks, not because there was a viral sitcom murder parody
like
on
Funny or
Adult
Die
Swim
or
Network.
Something. Yeah.
But because there was a phrase.
College humor, God forbid.
Sure. There was a phrase, too many cooks spoil the broth. So too many books, they're trying to sell their books. It's cute. I think it's pleasant. And it's in a town that is named Grandin Village. You live in a village and you have a bookstore called Too Many Books. It's quaint and wonderful.
I would like to amend my previous incredulity to agree with William. I now find that delightful.
Amendment denied.
No.
Is that a thing you can do? Can you deny an amendment?
I don't know. So you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, I guess.
Who's going to stop us,
Who cares?
right?
Yeah, exactly. We have too much power.
That's right. Okay, well... Sorry, Lexi. I really sucked the wind out of your story.
Sorry. It's like the IQ of this show just like dropped for a few minutes.
Yeah, just because of me.
No.
Yeah, too many cooks. That is so weird.
No, whatever.
All right. Okay, so Lexi and her mom, I think we're going to go to Too Many Cooks. Mom and I decided...
Too many books. God.
Okay.
Obsessed with this Adult Swim thing. What do you love it?
I've only seen it one time, actually.
I don't know if I've even seen the full thing.
It's fine. Okay, so they went to Too Many Books. Mom and I decided that we were going to finally check it out, and I was super excited. The thing is, though, as soon as we got there, I started to feel sick to my stomach. I brushed this off at first because I'm one of those people who get major butterflies when they're excited about going somewhere or doing something. However, when we went into the store, the stomach pain got worse as we walked around. Then we went down to the basement. It was the first time I'd ever felt the color drain from my face, and I felt like I was going to vomit at any time. I told my mom we had to get out of the store as quickly as possible because there was something super wrong in there. We left, and not 5 minutes after leaving, I was back to normal. No nausea, no butterflies, nothing. Come to find out, all of the books sold in that shop are secondhand, and it makes me wonder to this day what could have made me feel such a negative energy in such a small shop. I've dug around online and have found nothing paranormal related to the store, and no one else has experienced anything there to my knowledge. The only other, I guess, paranormal story I have is something that happens every so often in my house. I'll be doing whatever in my room, drawing, playing games, etc., and I'll suddenly hear my mom call my name, then somewhat sing-song sounding, Lex, or Lexi, she does when she needs me to do something for her. I'll come out to the dining room and ask, "Did you call me?" She always gives me a mildly confused look before saying, "No, but I was thinking about you." Ooh. We still have no explanation for this, and we're honestly curious about whether or not other people experience this strange phenomenon. We're the only women who live in the house, so it couldn't be anyone else.
I love that.
I love both of those.
I love both of those for sure. That second one is the response, no, but I was thinking about you.
Yeah.
It completes the story. It puts a bow on that experience in a very sweet way.
Yes.
Maybe the connection between them is so strong, you know, maybe she really does. Maybe Lexi really does have some sort of a ability to pick up on wavelengths.
Yeah, an extrasensory perception. I wonder even if the fact that Lexi says that they get butterflies when they're excited about going somewhere or doing something, like, you know, that could just be that you have that, but maybe they're picking up on a little something. It sounds like they know that they're mentally excited at the same time, so obviously could be, you know, connected there, but like, I don't know, maybe they're sometimes excited to go somewhere that a lot of other people have been excited to go to, and all that energy is kind of buzzing around that thing and it causes butterflies. Maybe that's because, you know, there are different kinds of like sixth sense sort of things. There's like clairsentience, which is knowing something. Clairaudience, which is hearing something. These are all things that aren't there. Clairvoyance is seeing something that's not there. I don't know what the clear feeling thing is, but
clairaudience, that's hearing something that's not there.
Clairsentience is knowing something. Clairvoyance is seeing it. I can't remember, but there's a smell one for all the five senses. Clairsmelliance.
Yeah. Clairnosmia, maybe something like that.
I know it. I can't remember what it is.
So clairaudience or orient, whatever.
Clairaudience.
Clairaudience, like audience.
Now I'm getting
member.
all mixed up, but
whatever, close enough. For the sake of just our, you know, conversation right now. So that might be what I experienced then. I heard something that wasn't there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the idea that Lexi goes into this bookstore and experiences an intense emotion, like my gut on that was like, it's interesting to have an allergic reaction to a place. Right.
That's a weird and cool way to put it, but yeah.
I just can't go in there.
Right.
The notion that Too Many Books has only second-hand books also means that presumably each and every volume in that shop has, you know, been passed around, and a lot of people have laid their hands on these things, and who knows who those people are. It could just be overwhelming that there's so much information in that place if you pick up on these things.
Right.
I don't know. It's fun to deal in these like hypotheticals. It's fun. Like I'm hearing myself talk about people who are like, you know, picking up on wavelengths and having such a tight connection that they can hear like their mother's thoughts, and like it's lovely. Outside of the boundaries of this show, I don't know that I personally would like entertain and like say like I believe in it, but like it's so fun to hear what people have experienced and get lost in it.
Yeah, they're telling us they experienced it.
I believe in people's experiences.
Yeah.
Like I believe in you know, I say that I had an experience, and I, you know, whatever. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I'm just enjoying getting lost in these stories.
Yeah, they're cool.
All right, our next story is another story from a Chris. Between 2016 and 2018, I worked in international development aid in Albania, especially in a few villages near the Albania-North Macedonia border. Over a few months of work, I had started to build a friendship with a local family who invited me for dinner with their family matriarch. On Midsummer Night 2016, during a particularly ferocious rainstorm, I traveled with the family, a husband, wife, and their 2 teenage boys, to the nearby village where their matriarch lived. When we arrived, the rain fell harder, and soon the power went out. This is common in that region. Over dinner by flashlight and candlelight, I was practicing Albanian with the family, and the 2 teenage sons assisted me where I did not understand or have the right translation. I have a lifelong interest in folklore, and asked their matriarch, who was in her early 70s at that time, "Do you know of any local ghost stories?" She smiled and looked up at me. The candle gently flickered as her face seemed to dance in the shadows. She was dressed in all black and white, an old Ottoman tradition that has kept alive for widows, so the shadows blended deeper into her. She took a breath, exhaled, and broke the silence with, "Many. I'll tell you one, for now." For now.
Yeah.
Many. I'll tell you one, for now.
I wonder if he ever got more.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was around 10 or 11 years old when it happened. The village was still recovering from the war, but us kids still liked to have fun. After school, I ran to the fields on a warm May evening after school with 2 other girls of the same age. We lost track of time, playing a hiding game. I found one of the girls, but then noticed that the other girl was walking away from us in a daze. We called her name, but she wouldn't answer. We tried to follow her, but her pace quickened until she ran into the woods. Everyone at the table all looked around. The story went on. My friend and I ran home together to tell our families what happened. After some tearful explanations, they believed us and followed us to the woods. There were sounds of an older woman's laughter coming from the woods. The adults also seemed as though they heard, for they stepped back. After calling for my friend's name a few times, her shouts for help were heard. Her father and my father went into the woods. After what felt like forever, just as the sun was setting, they all emerged from the trees. My friend was safe, but wasn't the same. That night, as at this same dinner table after much begging, Father told me what happened. We found her at the top of an old, decayed tree, just shouting incoherently and pointing to the base of the tree. She said that she was called there by a woman in an old black outfit who then chased her up the tree and would just laugh and taunt her. After a while, she just vanished. She was soon rescued after that. A pin drop could be heard at the table as we sat around one another. The candle flickered a bit more. My friend took that story with her to the grave. She would never talk about it, even despite the ridicule it caused her. She sighed. I'll tell you this, young man. I have never gone to those woods. I'm still afraid to go there. After dinner, and the rain calmed, I thanked her, and the family and I left her house for the other village. Over the next 2 years, she would tell me more stories to fill my curiosity. Well, my curiosity is now piqued, Chris.
Mine certainly is as well.
Incredibly well written as well.
Absolutely.
I
know
that story.
Like, there was a lot of scene setting.
Yes.
You know, it was very evocative.
Yes.
And one of the things that jumped out to me is that the matriarch who was telling him this story was dressed in all black herself.
I know. I love that as well. She's never gone to those woods, perhaps, yet.
Uh-huh. So did she maybe take on some of the attributes of that woman as a way to sort of bolster herself in some way, like becoming that which you fear?
There's also, I'll give you another creepypasta recommendation off of this story. There is a story called A Game of Flashlight Tag. I read it when it first came out, maybe 10 years ago. I loved it, and I quickly asked the No Sleep podcast if I could narrate it for them, and it was taken. It was already taken, and I was so bummed. It is so frightening. It is about kids that are playing flashlight tag outside. One of them runs off into the woods, doesn't come back. People have to go searching for them, and what happens from there, I personally found very chilling. So highly recommend, go find A Game of Flashlight Tag.
Oh, tell us. Do tell us.
No,
We're
I
doing
couldn't.
stories.
No, I couldn't possibly.
William.
Kristen, I couldn't.
Everybody.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead.
Spoilers for A Game of Flashlight Tag. Skip the next, few minutes if you want to, or, pause the podcast if you're in the future and you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or something, and then come back. So the way that I remember the story, and this is a written story. I'd also like to credit whoever wrote it, but I don't know. They deserve full credit because I love the way the story is written. But so this kid goes off into the woods, and they're playing flashlight tag, which I think the rules of it are you all have flashlights, it's dark out, and if somebody points a flashlight at you, you've been tagged. So the kid is chasing their friend into the woods, and they eventually need to get the parents to all come out, and we're all going to search for this girl. But eventually it's one of the children that finds her first, and she is in the woods, sticking out from behind a tree, looking at them. And so they just have their flashlight on this girl who ran into the woods, and she's peeking from behind the tree and just starts shaking. But shaking in a weird way, not like she's wiggling her shoulders or something, like someone's holding her.
And shaking her.
And, the kid calls for help. The parents run over. It's already too late. The kid is dead. killed and the person who did it got away. But the notion that they were puppeteering this kid's body to sort of like,
here I am.
Yeah. Either to lure another kid over to them or just as a sick, triumphant display. I don't know. But I found it really frightening. And that
is a unsettling story.
Yeah. The way that I think about it in my head, there weren't, Kristen, we grew up in the middle of nowhere in Connecticut, woods everywhere. Weirdly, that's not what I think about in this story. For whatever reason, I picture this story with so much clarity when I read it. A game of flashlight tag. It is, we lived in Missouri after we moved away from Connecticut in the mid-90s. And there wasn't much wilderness or woods or anything. However, our neighbors to the left of us in their backyard did have maybe like a quarter acre of woods. Something like that. Very minimal. But also, a game of flashlight tag is about childhood, like kids that are running around in the neighborhood and stuff, which I guess maybe I do associate with our time in Missouri.
Yeah.
They're just kind of being personalities on our cul-de-sac. And I can picture that story being like us and people that we knew.
Yes.
And like it's just very visually clear in my head. Everybody go track that down. A game of flashlight tag. I haven't been into creepypastas in a long time, but a lot of the stories sent in right here are making me think of them.
Yeah, actually you're completely right.
Yeah.
All right, so I am going to take us on home. We're going to end this with a shorty and a sweetie from Adam.
Shorty sweetie.
Yep. So Adam says, growing up, my parents were divorced and we would visit my father in the summers. He lived in a sizable house in Virginia, and my stepmom always claimed it was haunted. We always thought she was joking, and saw herself as some sort of clairvoyant. A clairvoyant.
Aha.
Seeing.
I can see.
I see the unknown. The haunting was usually limited to the basement. One time, my brother and I went down there in the dark to play hide and seek, and something pushed me over, so we ran upstairs screaming. There was nothing to trip over, and he was way too far behind me to have done it. Not a fan of that ghost for giving him a little push. Later on, after they'd moved down to Georgia, we would take pictures together, and there would always be orbs. Not only that, but one time I went to the abandoned house next door to check it out, and it was maybe in the low 50s or high 40s temperature-wise. When I walked into that house, it was immediately nearly 100 degrees, and there were pentagrams drawn in multiple places and writing all over the walls. I didn't like the vibe.
Yeah, I'm not into that vibe.
Yeah. So I ran back to the house. The second I walked in the door, my stepmom told me there was something latched onto me and that I needed to take a hot shower and get rid of the clothes I was wearing. Probably the scariest thing that's happened to me.
Ooh, that is very scary.
That's really scary. And I would imagine that if you kind of, like, she said that she was a clairvoyant and you were kind of like, yeah, maybe whatever. I don't know. That must have solidified her beliefs about herself a little bit in your mind, Adam, when you didn't even have to say anything after coming in from a scary house with pentagrams all over. And she's like, you have something latched on you.
Yep.
Throw your clothes away, take a hot shower because something's up.
Which I also love because it has some of the qualities of you've been playing outside, you're all covered in mud, take a bath, wash your clothes, whatever.
Right.
Oh, welcome home. Oh, you've got something attached to you.
Yeah. So let's get rid of those, take a hot shower, and it'll be fine.
You got to get rid of a spirit real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Leave your spirits at the door.
Right.
Wonderful.
That's what we do in this home.
Wonderful. Frightening.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adam. And thank you so much to everybody who sent in these stories. There is going to be a listener stories part 2.
Yeah.
Because we did not get to all of them. So stay tuned, because if you sent something in and you haven't heard it yet, you will soon.
That's right. And if you're out there listening to this episode right now thinking, well, I've got a scary story or an experience or something that a friend told me, a family member told me, it's not too late. Get it in. It might make it into the next episode. Even if it doesn't, we hold on to these things forever. So feel free to send your stories to gttupod@gmail.com, and we will store them safely until it's time to release them into the world.
That's right. I'll lock them away in my memory palace.
Yeah.
As we said before, you can also go to gttupod.com and you can check out our Patreon, our merch store, our Facebook group, and see all the stuff that we do over there. And we would really, really appreciate it if you told a friend about the show. If you're in a Facebook group and somebody is like, I need something to listen to, suggest Guide to the Unknown to them. That makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, a lot of listeners end up finding the show that way. So that's a really great way, in particular, if you'd like to kind of do something nice for the show and keep it going, is to tell somebody on Facebook.
Yeah. We also see a lot of people saying that they've come to Guide to the Unknown by way of some other podcast that they enjoy. So we're a big fan of other podcasters as well.
Oh, God,
if there's
yeah.
a show out there that you enjoy that you think is a good match for Guide to the Unknown, maybe we can schedule a team up, a crossover, a promo swap, something like that. So feel free to reach out to other podcasters that you like, tell them that you enjoy Guide to the Unknown and you'd like to see some sort of a connection.
Yeah, because
happen there.
actually, I would like to mention, I was just recently, in real time, just this past Monday, on a Patreon episode for Real Life Ghost Stories. Emma and I talked about our personal inclinations towards scary stuff and our opinions and likes and dislikes, and it was an awesome, awesome conversation, and we'll be doing it again soon on the main feed. But if you want to hear that, go to the Real Life Ghost Stories podcast Patreon.
Yeah, I want to hear that, actually. I haven't heard it.
It's good.
I haven't heard it, Kristen.
Yeah.
I want it. We would also really appreciate it. Another great way to show support is to either leave us a review on something like Podchaser, recommend on Facebook, share a post on Instagram, something like that. Or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, just like CKMAH Tab did.
Yes.
Titled A Mixture of the Two. Love it. That's a callback to a joke that we made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Oh, I know.
What is it?
I
I know what it is. Okay,
Yeah, you know what
I
it
know.
is? Okay.
Yes.
A must listen. I've been listening to this podcast for a while, and I cannot say enough about this duo. Kristen and Will have you feeling fantastic as you listen or watch, there's a YouTube version, to them discuss topics that they have both taken the time to research. Many podcasts, spooky podcasts, or podcasts with similar themes usually leave me wanting more in the research department. While I am 100% a believer in most, if not all, things spooky and weird, it's nice and refreshing to have people research and say, well, actually, there's a non-spooky reason. I also appreciate how Kristen and Will engage their fan base and the overall tone of the podcast. The tone is warm and personable, not just a couple of randos talking to you. 5 out of 5 stars. Would recommend. Thank you. Thank you so much.
What a nice review. Thank you so much for writing that.
Yeah, we got a recent influx of new reviews that are wonderful. So,
thank you. That's huge. Thank you very much.
Shout out to Robert Foley, David and Casey, Review from Mars, Sensei Day, Infinite Mallet. A bunch of people just left us a lot of really positive reviews.
Oh, awesome. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to be it for this week. We will be back next time for more spooky stories from around the globe. Maybe even from listeners like you.
Ooh.
But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we.
Hacha.
All right.
Hacha.
We did it. What good stories.
Hacha. We haven't done this in a while.
No, we haven't.
Hacha. This is how
Pull it back.
This is what our grandpa used to
This
do.
is how he expressed joy. Like that.
Always pinky out.
Yep.
Pinky out. But you reach out, you grab it, you flourish,
And pull it on back.
pop it right back in.
You want to get lobes for lunch? Go down to the deli? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ray and I are going to go to the locker room. Saw Nettie Roach.
Oh, no, I don't know if that's Nettie Roach is the local undertaker. Uh-oh. Oh, my God. Well, at least on my TV, it froze.
It froze on mine, too. I tried to get a screen. Oh, it froze in the video, too. It froze. I want that to be the cover for the week. I hope I can get that.
God.
That was bizarre.
Oh, boy.
All right, everybody. Andrea says, I loved the bonus episode today. I was almost disappointed when Kristen got the outro right.
No, it's... Andrea,
Don't worry, there will be more mistakes in the future.
Again, I'd like to take... That's on Patreon. I constantly get it wrong. Here,
Yes.
I've got it. This
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got.
No, Andrea is saying on Netherworld Dispatch.
I love the bonus episode today. Okay. I know. No, I
Yeah.
get it. See, I'm wrong all over the place. I hope that this then made you feel better because I was
Wonderful.
wrong about what you just said. I was wrong about too many cooks. That is so embarrassing.
It's not that I don't see why it's embarrassing.
I find it a little
It
embarrassing.
is weird. It's funny that I guess here's
I was like, no.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's that energy of, Will, you're weird. But then it turns out you're so much weirder, which I love. I can't tell you how much I love to not be the weird one. That like weird like comeuppance, a one up.
Oh dear.
Incredible.
Oh dear. Eric asked what the name of the podcast Patreon I was on. It's Real Life Ghost Stories. It's a very, very, very good podcast.
Yeah, check it out, everybody. I really want to hear your episode. Everybody. Oh, I saw this. I wanted to call this out. Christy Spink said that her cat Elfie stares at the toilet. Maybe it's fascinated by the sounds the toilet makes.
The toilet wasn't making any sounds at the moment.
Toilets make sounds, though, and dogs have better hearing. So maybe
That's
Buffy
true.
was staring at the toilet, just kind of like, there's running water? What's going on in there?
That's true.
Plus, I know that Crumbs likes a toilet.
Oh, Crumbs loves a toilet.
Maybe Buffy has seen her big brother engage in some toiletry and is curious but doesn't have the guts to risk lifting the lid.
Could be. Could be. These are all rational explanations. I think there was probably a ghoulie.
That's so stupid.
Oh, God.
All right.
All right, gang.
All right, everybody.
We're going to go record another episode to be released while William is off on parental leave.
That's right.
So we will talk to you soon.
I don't think that anybody cares about this. I personally do, the like chronological order of things. We're about to record. We'll see if anybody ever cares about this.
Sure.
We're about to record an episode. I made Kristen watch the movie Pontypool. She made me watch the movie Mother May I Sleep with Danger. And we haven't spoken about it yet, but it's going to be one of the banked episodes that comes out while I'm away.
Yes.
So when that comes out someday, you'll know we recorded it right after this episode.
And if you watch the video, you'll be like, oh, she's wearing that shirt.
Yep. I'm going to change all my clothes, but my clothes are all the same, so you won't be able to tell anyway. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for sending in stories, or maybe sending in stories in the future. Hope you had a great time. I know I did.
I did too.
And we will see you again soon.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.